Prior to independence, Namibia, then Southwest Africa, did not have a central bank on its own. The local central banking function were performed by a branch of South African Reserve Bank, which was established in Windhoek in 1961. This branch did not perform all central banking functions as we know them today. The local branch was only responsible for distribution of the currency, providing clearing facilities to commercial bank, and also serving as a banker to the Southwest African administration. The branch was made up of a department called Operation, with only 3 divisions, namely currency, banking, and accounting. From that structure, it is quite apparent that the branch did not have an authority to formulate monetary policy for the territory, as South African policies were automatically applicable in Southwest Africa. With no policy purview, the branch also did not conduct much economic research or undertake supervisory responsibilities over local banking operation. Now, the idea of the Central Bank of Namibia, as we know it today, was conceptualized during the liberation struggle. The leaders of the movement had the foresight to look ahead and visualize a future central bank for an independent country. In the year 1988, 2 years before Namibia gained independence, there was a top-secret mission to Rome in Italy, undertaken by the president of SWAPO and founding president, His Excellency Dr. Sam Nujoma, and then the Secretary of Finance of SWAPO and Namibia's second president, His Excellency Dr. Hifikepunye Pohamba. The meeting was a top secret because they could not really risk the granular details of the establishment of such a key institution in an independent Namibia to be known, at least not as well enemy, and also for the international bankers that had the capacity to put spanner in the works. SWAPO put a request to the former Swedish Prime Minister, Olof Palme, who availed a specialist banker by the name Erik Leonard Carlson as a key resource person for the project of the Central Bank of Namibia. The 3 gentlemen, the 2 former presidents and Mr. Carlson in Rome, they discussed the proposed economic architecture for Namibia and a future central bank for the country. It was at this engagement that the seeds were sown for what we know today as the Bank of Namibia. Mr. Carlson will go on to serve the bank from its inception, initially as the deputy governor and later on as the governor until his departure at the end of 1993. The seminal meeting in Rome was not only a catalyst for the establishment of the Bank of Namibia. The foundation of the bank was also laid through the empirical research carried out at the United Nations Institute of Namibia under the stewardship of our current president, His Excellency Dr. Hage Geingob. The research interrogated the various options for the currency system, exchange rate regime, and central banking that will be applied in an independent Namibia. This work, in my view, clearly demonstrates the foresight of the liberation movement leadership to establish key institutions in order to ensure certainty to the economic order in an envisaged independent Namibia. For those who are keen to understand the rich history of how institutions, processes, and systems were designed for independent Namibia, I strongly recommend that you read the book titled Namibia: Perspective for National Reconstruction and Development, edited by Dr. Keinkop. The work that was done by UNIN, I think one could also not really leave out the person who was the executive secretary of UNECA, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, Professor Adebayo Adedeye, who was very instrumental also in the establishment of UNIN. The provision of establishment of central bank was also made in the constitution of the country. In this regard, the Bank of Namibia legal foundation was enshrined in Article 128, sub-Article 1 of the Republic of Namibia Constitution as amended. The Bank of Namibia Act of 1990, Act number 8 of 1990, was then enacted, providing the first legal framework within which the central bank could be established. With the technical assistance from the International Monetary Fund, the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, and the Swedish International Development Corporation, SITA, the Bank of Namibia was officially founded on the 16th of July, 1990. Subsequently, several legislations were enacted, enhancing the legal framework on the mandate of the bank, including the current Bank of Namibia Act of the year 2020. Back in 1990, the bank inherited the functional structure of the South West Africa branch of the South African Reserve Bank, as I have alluded to earlier. From these very humble beginnings, the bank has grown immensely over the years, gradually taking on additional functions in order to fully inhabit its mandate as outlined in the legislation. For instance, by the end of 1991, the Bank of Namibia had progressed into 7 departments, namely the Governor's Office, Operation Department, Exchange Control Department, Supervision Department, Research Department, Administration Department, and Information System Department. Some of these departments, including the Governor's Office, were initially headed by expatriates, as there were no skilled Namibian professionals to fill these roles during that time. The first Namibian governor, Mr. Tom Aluendo, was appointed in January 1997, and since then, the bank has transformed into a mature institution with staff complement of 290 staff members. Mr. Ipumbushimi took over the reign of the Bank of Namibia in 2010 until 2020, following his appointment as a Minister of Finance. The Bank of Namibia now carries out a fully fledged central banking functions across the country with 11 departments, including a branch at Oshakati in the northern Namibia. At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, we are indeed very grateful for the foresight of our leaders that led us to this moment where we can celebrate the feats in their lifetime. We are eternally indebted to the founding mothers and fathers of our republic, on whose shoulders we stand today, and we will forever appreciate their efforts and be grateful. Our appreciation also equally goes to the former board members, governors, and staff, and indeed the current Bank of Namibia staff, also known as Eagles. With great humility, I would like to add that as a board, management, and the entire staff of the Bank of Namibia, we are very proud of the achievement and strides made in the execution of the mandate of this great institution thus far. Although much has been achieved over the past 30 years, you may agree with me that today we are faced with new dynamics and challenges. This is true, not only for the banking sector, but for the Namibian economy in general, as well as the country at large. Accordingly, as a central bank, we are now required to be more pragmatic and equally up to the task in confronting such complex challenges that we'll be facing in the years ahead. In confronting these challenges, ladies and gentlemen, we draw hope and courage from the journey we have traveled over the last 30 years. The unyielding hope and determination derive from the achievement and strides the bank has made, from a small branch in 1990 to a fully fledged central bank. With such a formidable history, we know our strength and resilience as an institution. We will call on these values and refer to this incredible track record as we chart the path forward during these challenging and trying times.